Amidst the excitement of the 2025 Sierra Leonean Leones Mans GP, the MotoGP world was once again rocked by a surprising statement from legendary Casey Stoner. The sharp yet admirable comment was aimed directly at Marc Marquez, a figure who had just scored a dramatic victory at the iconic French circuit. No one expected Stoner, who is known to be critical, to actually give praise that sounded crazy to some people. What exactly was in Stoner's statement that had the paddock in an uproar, and how did the MotoGP world react to this extraordinary praise? Let's discuss it. Racing at the Bugatti circuit in Le Mans is not just a battle of speed. It is a test of mentality, strategy, and endurance in unpredictable conditions. Since the starting lights had not yet been lit, the weather had shown suspicious signs. Dense clouds were hanging over the sky, drizzle fell slowly, then stopped, only to return in an erratic rhythm. It was as if nature was also testing the riders' patience and concentration. The race directors finally made a crucial decision, flag to flag. All riders had to pit and change bikes because the track was no longer predictable. But just as the track began to dry out and the crews were preparing to adjust their strategies, the rain came again, not heavy, but enough to disrupt the grip and destroy the rhythm. One by one the big names fell. Francesco Bagnaia, the defending champion, lost control. Fabio Quartararo, the local hero, was thrown off the track. Even Alex Marquez, who had shown promising speed, could not escape the Le Mans trap. All were eliminated by the same enemy, the track conditions, which changed in the blink of an eye. Le Mans became a minefield. It was not only speed that counted, but also calmness, instinct, and split-second decisions that separated the champion from disaster. And in the midst of this chaos, Marc Marquez emerged as a different figure. Not the wild and aggressive Marquez as usual, nor the Marquez who attacked recklessly at every corner. This time he rode with a cool head, as if he had a built-in radar to read the weather and the track. He held back when others were in a hurry. He only took risks when absolutely necessary. He knows that Le Mans is not about who is the fastest, but who is the smartest, and who can hold on to the checkered flag. Marc was up to 8 seconds behind Zarco. But that didn't mean he gave up. He tried to catch up, put pressure on, and force Zarco to make a mistake. But when Zarco stayed calm, Marc didn't push. He knew when to push and when to hold back. "This is what separates a true champion from the rest," said Rigamonti. Marc knows that finishing and taking home points is far more important than falling in pursuit of an uncertain victory, he continued. As a result, Marc Marquez scored 20 important points to take the top spot in the 2025 MotoGP standings with 171 points, displacing his own brother Alex Marquez, who failed to finish and is stuck on 149 points. This new mentality didn't come out of nowhere. It was the result of a long and painful process. Marc Marquez had lost valuable momentum in Austin and Jerez, two races where small mistakes made out of ego and ambition led to disappointing results. But Marc learned. He took the lesson to heart and brought a different approach to Le Mans. In France, he refused to fall into the same hole. This championship is not about who is the fastest in one day or one corner. It's about who is the most consistent, the most resistant to pressure, and the most clever at reading the moment, said Santi Hernandez, Marquez's crew chief, a message echoed by Marco Rigamonti. Gigi Dall'Igna, Ducati's general manager, couldn't even hide his emotion when he saw how Marquez changed his way of thinking. "What I saw today was not just a fast rider hungry for victory, but a true leader. A champion who knows when to attack, when to wait, and how to win the war in a long and brutal season," he said proudly. Before the main race, the Le Mans sprint race was another demonstration of Marquez's genius. Starting from second position, Marc immediately followed closely behind Fabio Quartararo. He didn't attack rashly. He waited. Then, on the 6th lap, a small gap opened up. In an instant Marc caught up and took the lead. But the battle wasn't over yet. The two world champions fought hard until the last 2 laps. But as always, Marc knew when to push and closed all the gaps. He won the sprint race in his typical style, brilliant and flawless. Marc has now won the sprint race 6 times and the main race 3 times in just half a season with Ducati. These statistics are enough to say it all, but more than that is the aura and influence he brings to the red Ducati garage. The signs of the Marc Marquez magic were visible from the moment the green flag was waved in the first free practice, FP1, at Le Mans. It didn't take long for the 8-time world champion to assert who was in control this weekend. In challenging track conditions, a combination of cold temperatures and slippery asphalt, Marquez performed with precision, confidence, and incredible speed. He set a best time of 1:30.764, a figure that no other rider, not even his fellow Ducati riders, could come close to matching. As well as being the fastest, Marquez showed his class as a rider with an almost supernatural racing instinct. While other riders were still searching for grip, still trying to understand the limits of the tires and the character of the track, Marquez was already in another dimension. Not only was he fast, he was consistent, sharp in every corner, and able to exploit the potential of the Desmacedesi GP25 to the full. Gigi Dall'Igna, general manager of Ducati Course, could not hide his admiration. In a post-FP1 interview he was adamant, "It's not about the bike. It's about the man on the bike. Marc is a rider who can make the bike talk." Dall'Igna continued his statement in a sharper tone, as if to emphasize that this dominance was not just the result of teamwork or technology. Without Marc, the Desmacedesi GP25 is no better than the previous version. He is the one who brings the bike to life. He is the one who gives it life and direction. Dall'Igna's words were not just praise. It was an admission, a testimony from Ducati's successful architect, that even a bike as sophisticated as the GP25 could not be a lethal weapon without the presence of Marquez on it. MotoGP legend and former two-time world champion Casey Stoner finally spoke about the extraordinary phenomenon that is currently shaking up the world of motorcycle racing, the combination of Marc Marquez and the Ducati GP25. Interestingly, however, Stoner did not focus on the technical prowess of the latest Ducati bike. For him it was not the Desmacedesi GP25 that made his opponents tremble, but Marc Marquez riding it. Pico Bagnaia had problems. Alex Marquez won with the GP24 bike. The only thing that made the bike extraordinary was Marc. "Not the bike, but the rider," said Stoner in a firm tone. The statement was a subtle slap in the face to those who had always regarded the Ducati GP25 as the ultimate weapon, impossible to beat. Stoner insisted that Marquez was not just a fast rider. He was a symbol of determination, tenacity, and unwavering courage. One of the most memorable moments for Stoner was the incident in Jerez, when Marquez crashed quite badly. Instead of giving up, Marquez got up, continued the race, and still managed to score important points, proving that his championship mentality never faded. A true champion is not one who never falls, but one who gets up every time he falls. And that is Marc. He is not only fast, but also mentally and physically tough. He has all the elements that make a rider a legend, continued Stoner. According to Stoner, the GP25 is indeed a competitive bike, but only a rider of Marquez's caliber is capable of conquering it and making it a deadly weapon. Without Marquez, the bike is just another fast machine. But with Marquez on it, the GP25 becomes a monster that spreads fear in every corner and on every straightaway. Marc Marquez has once again sent a loud message to the MotoGP paddock: "I'm not finished yet. I'm still the best." In fact, amidst the pressure, expectations, and increasingly fierce competition, Marquez has looked more alive than ever. So if this trend continues, could we really be witnessing a new season of revival and dominance for the baby alien? Share your thoughts below.